greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Now, this isn't just any episode. This is a very special episode because, well, my birthday is coming up here. And every year I have on my show, since I had my radio show, every year I have on my show the one and only Vinny Eastwood. Are you there, Vinny?
I am indeed. How's it going, man?
Everything's going great. Now, I want to say that everyone has their heroes. Everyone has their heroes they look up to. Everyone has their role models. Everyone has that person they want to emulate. And I'm going to say I have had many masters throughout my entire life, people I've learned things from. And there is no one better than you, Vinny. You are the inspiration, the very reason why I decided to go into media. And it's just always an honor to have you.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I bet you do.
Well, of course, you know.
Well, I mean, there are many other ways I could have taken the fight for the people. I could take it anywhere. I could have gone politically. I could have gone to law school. I could have done anything. But no, I decided to get into media. And I remember years and years ago, listening to Vinny Eastwood on YouTube and all that. Wow, you know. Of course, I listen to a lot of Alex Jones and stuff, but you know.
Well, actually, if I may, one of my listeners, he told me a story, and he said that he liked to listen to me before he went to sleep, and it was like, that wasn't an insult. It was that before you go to sleep, you need to be in a calm space so that you can drift off. And thought about it like this. You listen to Alex Jones to wake up, and you listen to Vinny Eastwood to calm down so you can go back to bed. You know, it's just...
Exactly. Well, exactly. You are one of the things that actually calmed me down. It's like, okay, my world's being torn apart. I'm a target individual. My life's being shredded by forces unseen. And it's like, okay, I'm gaining knowledge. You know, things aren't so bad when you can laugh about what's going on. You know, the lighter side of genocide, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was one of those people that, in order for me to go to sleep, definitely I'll put one of your programs on. And I'm one of those people that learn in their sleep. So trust me, I have your entire repertoire of skills and everything that that you have at my disposal because I learned what I learned from you.
Well, it was one thing I've been told by people that they don't like listening to my show because they don't like me, and what they don't get is that during the show, the vast majority of the actual airtime is taken up by whatever guest I have, generally speaking, so that they can teach you things that you haven't heard about or haven't seen before or something of that nature, because ultimately I had to seek a audience of mentors, more or less, because when you're a young man and you're hopeful and idealistic, and then you realize what things are actually happening in the world, and your hope and idealism gets deleted, all right? Not just destroyed, but just deleted, like in the trash, just right there. And you, if you're smart, if you're wise, ladies and gentlemen, you will fill the chasm that your hope has left with jaded cynicism. All right. Now, the reason for this is not because, being grumpy and all of that kind of thing is a wise idea. No. It's because you're less likely to get manipulated by ruthless criminals, sociopathic sales and con men if you're jaded and cynical. You're more likely to figure out the agenda behind confusing events and things of that nature if you're jaded and cynical. They just did it so that they could make everybody afraid and get unlimited power over everyone. Of course. The New World Order makes very much sense to a jaded, cynical person, and it's, as Evelyn Gilbert, God rest her soul, told me, it is the mark of a competent journalist. A journalist's job is to get to the truth.
Absolutely. And you have done such fine work. For a little reverse gift for you, I do want to let you know that I did end up downloading. I'm no fool. I knew that things weren't going to be on the internet forever. I did download lots of your past shows that were on YouTube that you probably don't have now. And I would love to give those to you someday. I maybe have like a terabyte of media that I downloaded from YouTube back in the day. I know a lot of that is you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because American Freedom Radio went through a bit of trouble a few years back, and their server crashed, and they lost all the shows from 2010 through to 2015. So it was just like 5 years of Vinny Eastwood shows all on American Freedom Radio, and a lot of the time, because I have to edit my own shows and post them on my own website and then share them out onto X, I never get... It's... If you're doing a lot of work, especially creative work, you have a lot of piles that you put things into. The largest pile that any creative person has is the shit that I'm never going to get around to pile. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah. And I really hope that people will actually learn from our mistakes. I mean, for that reason, I tell everyone, my media is for everyone. I don't care if you download my media, burn it to a DVD, give it to a friend, email, do whatever you want my media, so long as you keep it intact, so that the material isn't changed to be manipulated for someone else's views. But please go to YouTube, rip my episodes, go to Facebook, rip my documentaries from online, Facebook, wherever you can find it. Put on a DVD, put on an external hard drive, keep it for yourself. You never know what will happen.
I think also I just wanted to take a note now that we are streaming live on YouTube on my channel through this, and I said to myself, Vinny, don't talk about technical difficulties. Audience doesn't want to hear that. Okay, but dig this, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be very, very brief. When you're trying to do an interview on the Vinny Eastwood Show, you connect the person via Skype, their audio and their video works. You know, that's as complicated as it gets. When you try to connect a targeted individual, the audio on their side is screwed up, the connection on their side is screwed up, the video on their side is screwed up. Doesn't matter what kind of settings or things that you change. If you change like 20 different things, doesn't make a difference. So we had to then reconnect on Zoom and then completely blow out his Zoom video thing just so that we could get this whole sorted and make sure that those of you who are watching on the YouTube could actually participate instead of just recording it and then editing it later. And that's the kind of thing that we talk about, and I think I explained this to you before the show, that targeted individuals are essentially ordinary people. You know, not people of huge political influence or massive celebrity and that kind of thing. They're just ordinary people. Now, there are a lot of weapons that the military and industrial complex has developed specifically for the torture and targeting of people. However, they can't just say, hey, volunteer to sign up for targeted torture and things like that in order to do their weapons testing, in order to get it to the final stages or that kind of thing. So they do what the US government has been doing for decades. They experiment on the people of the United States. They need to figure out if a foreign political leader or something like that is messing with us and we want to disable them, will messing with every single one of their internet connection possibilities to a large degree, not an impossible degree so that it's like so obvious that there's somebody screwing with you, but just such an intermittent kind of thing that the person would go nuts or have a mental breakdown or something of that nature. Can we test those weapons on the United States public to perfect them so that at a time when somebody who is a real enemy to us, you know, the ubiquitous us, US, then we can deploy our weapons and they will be fully tested and they will work. And all it cost was the life and comfort of a shockingly large amount of targeted individuals around the world.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're absolutely right about that. And people wonder why I don't do live shows. And this is particularly why. This is the most success I've had in a live show, any endeavor. But yes, you're absolutely right. It's so, well, yeah, that censorship, it's amazing. It's absolutely astounding how much effort they'll go through just to keep people quiet.
Mm. And it's not so much about just keeping quiet. Again, it's just about testing that technology. It wouldn't matter what you were saying or what you were speaking out about, because many people do and they don't get targeted, and that's not the point. The point is to isolate somebody. You know, oh yeah, can you prove that you're a targeted individual? Have you got the evidence? Have you got the frequency numbers of the people who are surveilling? Okay, and people envisage this enormous apparatus to surveil this one person. No. Okay, there are criminals in the United States who have records and things like that. There are criminals in the United States who've just been busted, who want to work off their sentence in some way. So what you do is you pay them a minimal amount to sit outside somebody's house. Or you give them a special password for their laptop so that they can log into one of the orbiting satellites that anybody with a password can log into, that can track and trace any human being. Or even all of their communications and things like that. The PRISM program, you can log into their webcams and things like that. You can listen to their cell phone calls while they're live. You can listen to their cell phones while their cell phone is even turned off. And everything is data logged and kept in these giant databases. So you're like, didn't he say something back in September of 2015 or something like that about so-and-so and blah, blah, blah? Let's go back and have a look at that, that kind of thing. Now, I wish I had that technology because I have lost so much stuff over the years, bro. I mean, the problem is, like, I've got complex post-traumatic stress, so I need to smoke cannabis on a regular basis in order to just, not get insanely depressed. And have almost an impossibility of just living a normal life. All right. Now, one of the consequences of prolonged cannabis use is that your IQ, your ability to think about things, increases, but it's at the cost of short-term memory. All right. So what that means is you'll have all these brilliant thoughts, but you'll forget what they were. So.
Well,
So
No,
if there was a surveilled record of my brainwave patterns back there or something like that, and you know, you could recall back all these great thoughts that I had that I completely forgot about, you know, that'd be fantastic. But unfortunately, that's not what the apparatus is there for.
Absolutely. And I can tell you it's very infuriating with the little things, as you said, the little things. How can we tinker with this connection here? How can we, do this? Drop that call there. Let's hack this account here. It's the little things. Me, I'm a video gamer, and something that these people typically do is they'll drop my connection while gaming online, and they'll do it repeatedly over and over and over again. And it's like, it's the electronic age version of the Chinese water torture. How many times can we do it before he snapped? See, you're a very, very brave man for doing live feeds. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I was one of the lucky few people who had some extraordinarily talented mentors who taught me not how to do all this stuff. I had to learn pretty much everything on my own, but they believed in me, they supported me, and they did things for me that I couldn't do for myself at certain points until I was able to do it for myself, you know what I'm saying? And I think all of us need to be extraordinarily grateful for whomever imparts knowledge to us and gives us a shot. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm blathering, and I've seemed to have gotten everything sorted. So.
Well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what the people do in the broadcast. I've got you, Vinny Eastwood, on, and it's a pleasure. It's always an honor.
Okay, so happy birthday, by the way. I do think it's a good day.
Absolutely, it's number 33.
Holy cow! I'm 33 as well, and I'm having my 34th birthday on the 1st of December. Well, 30th birthday party anyway. This is the end of my 33rd year of life, just about the time that you enter your 33rd year of life. That's cool, man.
Well, I think it's very symbolic, as how I'm moving up within the, I want to say, social ranks, but also the ranks of activism. That's the only ranks I care about. Getting things done with the peers that I have that are absolutely have a mind for justice in having a fair society. I mean, you're not going to find that any politicians, not your average ones, you're not going to find that within anyone within the establishment, because they already control everything, and it's well corrupted, and they like sitting there in their corruption. So it's just up to the rest of us to do what we can to make this world better for the rest of us.
I do believe that's so, and I think Jordan Peterson and Mark Passio, two men, have identified the true methodology by which any society improves: an increase of morality. All right? Don't take anything that is not yours, including taking a life, somebody's right to choose a sexual partner, or somebody's stuff. Don't take anything that is not yours. Right? That's morality in a nutshell. Right? Nobody ever explained it like that to me before. And the metric by which a society's freedom is actually measured is, as morality increases, the freedom of that society increases. Right? And I think that these are probably some of the most important points that I've really ever seen before, to get down to this whole thing. Like, I'm watching movies and things like that, and that reminds me, I'm loving that Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? And just heard today that Stan Lee has died. 95 years old, 1922 to 2018. There will be no more Stan Lee cameos. Isn't that interesting? It's like a generation gap thing. And I believe that we're having that reconnection now. Let's see if it's, oh my God, and it seems to be working just fine. Sweet. Cool. So welcome back, V. I was just talking about how Stan Lee has just died, and how, like, me watching those Marvel movies and things like that and being affected by Stan Lee's death is kind of like an abdication of my own personal responsibility and morality in a way. But what I mean by that is, we look at things to entertain ourselves and distract ourselves from how horrible reality is, as opposed to doing things in our life that connote strength and power against the darkness and accomplish things in the real world, right? And I'm still struggling with a lot of that myself. How many hours a week or a month or a year do I spend entertaining myself, playing my video games, watching movies and things of that nature that I could be using to expose scumbaggery, improve my health, train my mind? You know, these kind of things add up over a long period of time. And unlike video game statistics, you don't have a record of how much time you waste, but the video game statistics themselves, if you haven't actually accomplished anything in the real world with those video game statistics, you haven't accomplished anything for that exact amount of time that you've been playing it. You know, and I was freaking out about it because I play my games a lot.
Well, I actually put myself on a bit of a reward system. The more I work, the more I master my universe, my reality, the more I find time for things and the people that I need to, spend time with and have time for. And so it just all depends on what your goals are. You can't set them too high, you can't have them too low, but at the end of the day, you got to have more than those 5 things, you can count on one hand accomplished. You got to know at the end of the day, is someone going to remember your name? Someone going to remember your hard work? And as much as I don't like compliments, as much as I don't like praises, I do feel better when I have people say, hey, your information has saved my life, or your knowledge has brought me up in the world. And it's like, well, that's what I'm doing this for. So
yeah, well, Mark Passio called that the great work. The great job of a master of anything is to create more masters. Right? Share that knowledge, because knowledge is the true power in the universe. You can wield it like a weapon or like a shield. You can use it to protect yourself, or you can use it to protect others, and you can use it to destroy the enemies of humanity. And if you think that there is no such thing as objective truth, jump off a high building, shoot yourself in the face with a pistol, drink a entire beaker of raw fluoride chemicals. There are infinite ways to prove that there is objective truth, there is objective reality, and that reality doesn't give a shit what you believe. Okay? That is the truth of it. Reality doesn't care about you. You've got a lovely daughter in a beautiful yellow dress or something like that who's playing too close to the cliff and then falls over and snaps her little neck. Reality didn't just stop working. Gravity didn't just stop working and look at that beautiful innocent child and decide not to work right now because, let's just make an exception for this one little girl. No. Reality has rules. If you stay in ignorance, you're going to invite slavery, more or less.
Natural law, yes. I am also a student of Mark Passio, and wow, what a extraordinary man. Fire and passion, it's great. I actually used a couple of his, clips from his presentation, that's what I want to say here, in my documentaries. I have made a series of documentaries called 5th November, the movie series, Target Visual Documentaries. Long name, I know, but you gotta have a long name for such a big series. For the first documentary, I had Know Your Enemy. The second one was Know Your Enemy's Weapons. Then Know Your Enemy's Victims. Then Know Your Enemy's Killers. And then Know the Trans Matrix. It's a large series. Each one of my documentaries are 4 hours long, broken up into 2 pieces. So I hope people will go and check that out. As of right now, YouTube has heavily censored us and finds any reason whatsoever to boot my documentaries off of YouTube. But we've created a new YouTube channel called Targeted Documentaries. The videos are not up yet. They'll be up within 24 hours. But if you want to go and watch them on Facebook, if you have a Facebook account, just visit Targeted Individual Documentaries, and you can watch any of my documentaries. I'm actually one of 2 people who have figured out there are certain mass killers are targeted individuals. I'm one person, and someone I work with is the other. Yeah. yes. Something people don't know about. I'm going to give a little tidbit for your audience here. The big thing about my documentary that I reveal, is that Charles Whitman, the clock tower shooter, okay, he was the first targeted individual. Well, the first one that did a mass shooting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting that he had such accuracy with his rifle, and he was also a targeted individual?
You can't make this stuff up. You can't. And so there's an autopsy done on him, and they found a tumor pressing up against his amygdala. Okay. And they say, oh, well, this is probably the reason why he went crazy. Well, no, this tumor was drowning out his amygdala. Okay. When you have something squeezing out a part of your body, especially your brain, that part of the body doesn't work too well. So this is not what put him out into a homicidal rage. Okay. The fact is that he was being beamed, voice skull technology, being beamed. His amygdala in itself was targeted, and it grew this tumor. Now, catch this. The reason why target individuals are being hit with non-ionizing radiation is for the simple fact that ionizing radiation leaves things like tumors. In my documentary, I show an example, a clip from a university of this experiment of these rodents that had electrodes put into their brains, which a laser would hit their amygdalas. They would be passive, and when the signal turned on, they start attacking whatever was in their cage, straight to the amygdalas.
Kind of like the cell phone signal in what was it, Kingsman, the Secret Service. They know it. Yeah. They put a signal through the cell phone network, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody who didn't have an implant would go completely homicidal and try to kill everybody inside. All right, something to turn off the amygdala. Now, correct. What is the amygdala? It's the little part of your brain when you hurt something or you do something wrong or you tell a lie or something. It's the little part of your brain that makes you feel bad about it. All right, and a lot of people have an overactive amygdala. That's why they feel bad about everything, and they're so depressed and they're so anxious and that kind of thing. And I remember I interviewed a guy called I forget his name, but he wrote a book called How to Tickle Your Amygdala. So essentially it was how to reprogram your amygdala so that it wouldn't do this kind of limbic system malfunction, they call it, where the middle mammal part of your brain, the thing that's governing your social awareness, the thing that makes you feel bad for people and empathy and all of that kind of thing, when it gets a malfunction, that's what essentially mind control really is. It's about breaking that amygdala's hold on your body to tell you, no, that's not a bad thing, that's not a good thing to do, or make you feel bad about before even doing it. So if you flick that off, you can kill anything for no reason whatsoever. All right, and I asked the author of this book, Tickle Your Amygdala, I was like, hey, bro, were you ever in your room tickling your amygdala and your mum came in and caught you?
Yes.
But yes.
Well, and it's funny because Eileen Wuornos, people don't, even target individuals don't recognize her as a targeted individual. But if you go over her interviews, especially the last interview she had before she was sent to the execution chamber, she said she was being hit with sonic pressure in her head. She was gang stalked and basically made to go places to do things to, and yes, she killed. Yeah, the police absolutely knew she was killing. The police were using her to, in fact, clean up the streets, so-called. Her husband, when she married this old man who was president of a coal company, Keystone Coal, I believe, also a president of a yacht club. I mean, this guy, I mean, I'd state in my documentary, I mean, this guy has got to be Illuminati, an Illumitard, Freemason, so it's, if you want to use those words, pseudo-Freemason. And I actually looked up his name. I researched his name. The husband's name was Louis Gratz Fell. Now, Louis is a Freemason name, meaning son of a Mason. It's also a device used in Masonry. Gratz, which comes from Latin, meaning free, like, you know, gratis, free. And then his last name is Fell. The son of the Mason, Free Fell. Now, we know who the original Mason is. That's God. God is the Mason. God made the universe. God made everything. So the son of God, Free Fell. His name meant Lucifer. And so that is, people understand that Eileen was probably made to do some really horrendous things while being married to this man. Probably a lot of freaky deaky sexual cult ritualistic stuff, and she had it. She nearly killed the man and left him. This woman was MK Ultra trauma-based mind control victim from birth, and those who already have that work done on them are easily targeted by the system to further do what it is the system wants them to do.
It's kind of like a sleeper agent, you know. If they're in every town and city and that kind of thing, you suddenly have a local uprising or a local journalist or a local governor who's not playing ball or whatever. Who have we got in the area? Oh, we've got Jed in the trailer park. He's a targeted individual. Let's turn his fucking amygdala off, cunt.
Well, sadly enough, that is how it goes. Those people have had a hard life, and they don't have anyone that backs them up, no one to support them, friends, family, and any of the usual circumstances. Then these people are definitely easily picked off. They are targeted by, you know, the intelligence agencies or police department or a cult, whoever has connections within the system and the establishment.
It's one thing to notice as well, that reality is far crazier than anybody could actually make up. You know, you could try as hard as you can to imagine the craziest stuff you can, and reality is way crazier every time. You know why? Because reality doesn't have to make sense. Fiction does. You know, that's why people believe fiction, because somebody's done an extensive job of making sure that you believe it. That's why everybody's so desperately clamoring to believe lies, you know? That kind of thing. Every politician comes up, and I remember one of my listeners made a Facebook post the other day, and he says, what do you call a group of liars trying to tell bigger lies than each other? And he said, the National Party. It's like one of our Republican equivalent, but except they're blue instead of red, you know. And I said, no, actually, the answer to the question, what do you call a group of liars trying to tell a bigger lie than each other, is an election.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah, and you can't make this stuff up. And something I want to let people understand is that I use scientific evidence. I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists that just tries to draw a picture for you and let you connect the dots. I'm going to give you the picture and give you the crayon and let you color it in, because I have all the lectures, the scientific evidence from college lectures, from the corporations, videos from the corporations that are pushing out this technology. I actually grabbed all the information because all these conspiracies are open conspiracies. They can't hide anything because it's so massive. So what they do is they put it right in front of you, put a little glitter on it, put a flower in it, and say, hey, and you don't think anything of it. But everything's an open conspiracy. Mm. All you got to do is want to look at it for what it is.
I think the one Illuminati principle that was discovered when the guy who was delivering the original, document of the official Illuminati in 1776, he got struck by lightning, right? So everybody's like, read all these documents. Oh my God, this is a conspiracy called the Illuminati, and they're trying to do... One of the tactics that was illuminated in that document, so to speak, was that once your scam gets exposed, Prohibition, Agenda 21, feminism, whatever it is, change its name. So global warming becomes climate change, or Agenda 21 becomes Agenda 2030, or Obama becomes Trump. Hope and change.
Eugenics becomes transhumanism.
Yeah, the American Eugenics Society becomes Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
The KKK becomes the Republican Party. I'm just kidding about that one. That's not real.
Hey, I'm a Republican, and I will not be marginalized. No, okay.
Yeah.
Key appeal reference there.
Oh, one can only hope.
Well, but so basically, yeah. So I'm just trying to do what I can to kick butt and get this information out there. For you people who think you might be targeted, you might want to check out my documentaries. I'll put the links into this copy of the show I get from my show for everything that you guys need to know. But I really want my viewers to become Vinny Eastwood's viewers and vice versa, so we can actually grow and get some momentum going. What do you think?
Yeah, the whole thing is that I have been doing very little listening in the last year or two to anybody. All right, maybe within the last couple of weeks, I think I've been listening to a lot of Mark Passio, and maybe a month or two ago, for about a week or two, I listened to a lot of Jordan Peterson and that kind of thing. So when I am encouraging people to go and listen to something, I think one of the pieces of advice I saw the other day was, don't give people advice that you yourself have not followed. you know. So because I don't listen to your show, I can't, advise people to go and, listen to that and that kind of thing. But of course, check it out, ladies and gentlemen. If you like it, and if it does things for you, spend your time, invest it, because a lot of the times when we have these things that I call relationship kitty money, all right, essentially. Now, this is not a physical monetary reward type thing. It's a social thing. If you do something for somebody, you feel good about it, okay? That generates social kitty. So that when you go to that person and you need a favor from them, you've got certain amount of social capital that you can draw upon to say, hey bro, I helped you out those 8 times. I babysat your kids. This kind of thing that you can really put pressure on people with. And what's interesting about how radio show hosts work is that essentially you have to have an element of narcissism in order to be a successful radio show host. Now, all psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. Okay, it's on a spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. There is malignant and benign. All right, one is a blood parasite that'll course through your entire body and infect every cell with its scumbaggery. And the other is like a little tumor or something that's not that dangerous, like a little friend, and that's what I consider myself in terms of being a talk radio show host or something like that. I could be dangerous, but in reality, I'm just more like a little friend, a little helper, so to speak, For instance, 36,000 subscribers currently going out this live stream of a show that V couldn't actually stream himself because of being a targeted individual and the constant screw-withs of all his technical devices. That is how you make a difference in the world, ladies and gentlemen. One thing at a time.
Absolutely. And, I would really love to be able to stream, but, I myself, I have my little team that does, post editing and all that. I mean, you're a one-man show. You do all this stuff for yourself. You have learned the ropes, and you do a damn good job. I myself, I have a team. We're all targeted, so only this person can do that, and that person can do this. And so, I mean, the narcissism that you speak of, I don't know. I kind of feel goofy on camera. The real narcissist is off camera. I know the producer of my show and owner of the media, Anthony Thomas, he gets hell for talking all the trash that he does, but he well deserves to be able to do so. When you burn, you have the right to teach, and there are those people who don't like the confidence in which we speak, and really those people can go to hell. We're doing this to inspire for those people who don't like our outwardness. These are the real narcissists, in my opinion. I mean, oh well, look at him. He's got his own TV show and he's doing all this, and I have spoken to so many people, and people on my staff have spoken to so many people who felt so entitled to come on my show and would dare argue with Anthony about this and that. It's like, okay, well, you were given invites to come into the show, but you know what? Never mind. And these people get so butthurt. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But we're just trying to do what we can and without having to try to appease everyone, because we're not going to appease anyone. We're not going to do it. If you're here to fight, then stand up and fight. If you're going to be a coward and just try to tear us down, well, we don't need you.
One of the founding fathers, I think it was Samuel Adams, he rode through a state in the pouring rain and the freezing cold on horseback to get to this meeting. And he said words to the effect that if you're in here looking to enrich yourselves by the revolution that is about to take part in the country, if you think about even taking the sides of the king, if you think about your pocketbook and what it might cost you when it comes to freedom, leave this place in shame. Go and lick the boots of your masters, and may the forebears of this country ever henceforth forget that you were ever a part of this country.
Well, if that doesn't say it, then nothing does.
No compromising, because Samuel Adams understood, as many people are now coming to realize, there is no negotiating with evil. There is no level of appeasement that will work. In fact, the more negotiating and the more appeasing that you do, they grow ever powerful. And the more, we get into debt and stuff like that, we have debts ever accumulating. And so will every subsequent generation, unless they're stopped. And it is at the point when they are stopped that things start to get better for everybody. And the longer we appease them, the worse things are going to get. It is an immutable truth. And the ego doesn't like immutable truths. All right? It cannot be silenced. It's extremely belligerent, and it doesn't care what you believe. That's called the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are too weak or spiritually dead inside, that you do not see the value of the truth, we don't want you as part of any movement. You will die nameless and shameful, and people will forget, hopefully, that you ever existed.
Well, I'll definitely tell you that those who are not a part of a revolution are not ever remembered. That's for sure. And people, and it's really gets to me, because there are a lot of people, violence is not the answer. And this is the fuss right now of Facebook, because my hype man on Facebook, he just doesn't care. He just, and it just gets to the point of the talking about the violence, because you can't talk about change and revolution. You can't talk about anything worthwhile for change in humanity without there being bloodshed. It's not because we, the people who are fighting, we're the violent ones. It's no. We are pitted against with violence every day. You don't pay your taxes, what? It's a threat of we're taking your money, your freedom. You want to fight against that? We'll use violence. You do anything today that is against the establishment, it's your money, your freedom, your life. And just like Mark Cassio says, you want to fight violence with force. I'm not afraid of twisting off the cap of anyone's soda that wants to get in the way of my life, liberty, and happiness. That's just a fact. Now, if someone wants to say, well, no, you're violent, you're just like them. How are you any better than them? Well, I'll tell you that you are from a defeated mindset by thinking, well, how am I better than them? Because that is the standard in which they are attacking you. They think they're better than you. And so it's not a matter of what tactics should I use to be better than them. And this is all excuses for cowardice. I'm going to use the frame of mind of I exist, I'm free, and anything that wants to go against that, well, your days are numbered. You must not like life enough if you're going to go against what I am, what I have. So
yeah,
that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, Passio explained it to somebody like, he's armed, okay, and he said that if somebody tried to mug him, okay, now here's the thing. Mugging is, I will kill you if you don't give up this. Okay, they are threatening your life. All right? And so when somebody threatens your life, they have abdicated their right to life entirely. You have every right to immediately kill them because they don't care about your right to life, and so they no longer have one. And you have every right to end it right then and there before they try and end somebody else's life. You have a moral obligation and a responsibility to show immediate and dire consequences for those who do not respect the sanctity of life and try to take it from other people with violence. Now, force and violence are two completely different things. Force is an act that causes any kind of change. Violence is an act that violates anybody's rights. Okay? If you're lying and stealing, that's violence. That's violating somebody's property rights and things of that nature. And because the sacred feminine aspect of what's it called? Non-aggression. The non-aggression principle. That's the sacred feminine aspect. That has been taken out of government structure entirely, okay? And out of the public has been taken the sacred masculine principle of self-defense. If you want to have any adequate government or any adequate person, they need to embody both the sacred masculine and sacred feminine aspects of self-defense and non-aggression. Otherwise, you will get tyranny, you will get immorality, you will get killed eventually if evil is not stopped. This is what people say when they say, oh, you're just fear-mongering and that kind of thing. No, I'm not. There's this thing called history, okay? It's written down in books and documentaries and stuff. It's all over the goddamn place. And every single frickin' time that people give up their rights and give them to tyrants, they get frickin' exterminated. All right? My favourite word, really hilarious word, democide. You know what democide is, ladies and gentlemen? It's when you get fucking exterminated by your democratically elected leaders. Okay?
Well, you know what? I gotta ask, what's going on over there in New Zealand? You're part of the world there.
All sorts of stuff. I've just got, my wife just brought me a pie, you know, like, oh my God, it's so good. I can't eat it really on air or whatever, so I'll just eat it while you're talking. But what's been going on in New Zealand right now is, as James Corbett called it, the 24-hour news cycle. All right, everybody remembers the name Trayvon Martin, okay? What consequence is it today to know the name Trayvon Martin? Doesn't matter, does it? Because it focused everybody's attention on this one thing that didn't really matter, and then everybody moves on to the next crisis, So the 24-hour news cycle is what's responsible for that. They hijack humanity's attention and focus it on things that don't mean anything. So that meanwhile, stories that are getting out that could go further are given no attention, or movements that are being violently oppressed by US allies don't get the attention they deserve either. You know, that kind of thing. It's beautiful. That's why I don't watch the news. That's why I don't read articles and things of that nature unless I'm doing it live on the show. Because every single time I go through an article from the mainstream media, maybe a few exceptions, but pretty much every single time, the blood starts to boil, I get aggressive, and that's when the show really gets funny. You know, like when I'm breaking down the news and what it really means and insulting these people who are due their insult. They are due no respect. They are due no quarter. and they have shown no respect for what people should know, which is truth, and they have at all times proven, I think, in terms of the mainstream media apparatus, that they are completely untrustworthy. Now, when somebody is a liar, you know they're a liar, and you know they're untrustworthy, what solution do you have available to you? Stop listening to them, okay? Ever. So what's going on in New Zealand right now? Don't know. The mainstream media wouldn't tell nobody about it. There's a whole bunch of protest movements that are against the 1080 movement, against 1080, which is a poison that they dump into our water supplies and water feeding systems and things like that in rural and urban fringe areas, and in some cases right onto farmers' property, that causes livestock and any animals within the bush that are unfortunate enough to eat it to writhe in agony for approximately up to 48 hours, in some cases the spasms having such an effect as to break the animal's spine from the spasms, to vomit out their own stomachs out of their mouth. Extremely horrific poison, the worst the world has ever developed. You know who developed it? The Chinese. They used it in the Manchurian campaign, which is where the name the Manchurian Candidate comes from, that kind of thing. What it did was they figured, you know, it would be a really great idea. Why don't we just take over this huge chunk of China and kill everybody in it? Yeah, but how are we going to do that without weapons and armor and propaganda and tactics and all of these fuel costs and things like that? Why don't we just poison people's water supply? Okay, it'll kill them either slowly or over a long period of time, depending on the dosage, and if it doesn't kill them, it'll severely debilitate them, so we can just roll over the top of them like grass. That is what is happening right now in New Zealand. What does the media report? Some horrible 1080 activists put dead birds on Parliament steps, and it's shown that those dead birds died from blunt force trauma. Whoa. Hold on a second. So you see, you're saying that somebody managed to sneak up on a native endangered species that can fly and then bonked them on the head, and then they brought him to Parliament, right? This is just even moderate analysis would reveal the BS of the media. And according to recent, well, not so recent now actually, a few years ago, I think US polls stated that 30% of people who watch the media believe it. Only 30%. Now, interestingly enough, there was also a psychology thing that broke down the percentage of people that are willing to believe anything they hear, and it was about 30%. Now, so that means 70% of the population are in the camp of they either need a lot of evidence or they need at least a little bit, you know, and if they can be reasoned out of it and that kind of thing. But about 30% of them of humanity are essentially, as Mark Passio calls, soul dead. Conscience, the exercise therein, is I get told an order to do something. It might not be something wrong, it might be something good, but I've been given an order. Now, if I have a conscience, I will evaluate that order. I will evaluate its morality. Is it right action or is it wrong action to follow that order? And if I deem that order is found wanting, I will no longer follow that person's orders at all. I will argue it, I will protest, and if that person continues to try and order me around to do an immoral thing, I have a moral obligation to try and stop them by any means at my disposal. Okay? That's what having a conscience is. Being soul dead, you are given an order by an authority and you obey it without question. Don't do that.
And the etymology is astounding. I mean, you look at the word soldier, soul, it's right there in the name. You're sold, I-E-R, okay? you were sold to I forgot the breakdown of that, but you get the point. A person that is the order followers, yeah, they absolutely disgust me. I was not very liked when I was in the military. I would tell, hey, my XOs to screw off at any time. I felt like it. And I mean, not just because I felt like it, just, go do this, go do that. Yeah, no, trust me, I just get away from you, sure. But given an immoral order, passing out reprimands to a soldier for an incident that he didn't, wasn't responsible for it. And, it's stuff like that. It's like, go do your own dirty work. But I'll definitely say that you're right on the part of the people needing so much evidence or so little evidence. But it's worse in America. I will tell you, for my documentary, when I was explaining the naval direct-to-energy weapons testing, people in these news clips were talking about dead birds falling out of the sky. These whales being beached, these dolphins being beached. It's the government sent out a team of experts to investigate. No toxins were found, no pathogens were found. Well, of course not. These creatures died by frequency weapons. Yeah, go figure, right? How else are you going to get a flock of flying animals? I guess they were snuck up on too, each and every one of these birds, and clonked over the head, right? and knocked out of the sky. And so, in these news clips,
there was a battalion of Texan kids with slingshots. That's what took them all out of this. They were very well rehearsed. They were part of the local militia.
But it was enough for the people to see that, and it's like, oh, they have no explanation for that. Oh, okay, well, whatever. It's atrocious. I would want to know. No, I want to keep hearing on the story. Still, there's an explanation for that. But no, it just becomes an obscure story that just fades away, never to be heard again, until it happens again and again and again. And it's enough for people that it's being reported on. These weird phenomena are being reported on, although there is no explanation that the government can give anyone. Now, you and I both know that nothing happens in this world without the government being all on top of it. There's a mystery about something. There's a quarantine. There's, National Guard moves in. There's going to be something found out. But whenever you hear these incidences just happen, the water turned red in this river, even though, a lot of religious people are going to say, oh, the sign of the times and all this, but really these waters were hit with a dark energy beam that oxidized the iron in the water to make the waters run red. and they're going to just accept that, oh, no one knows. And I think that's probably playing on the Christians and, the religious belief, sign of the times. We're not supposed to know an answer. This is a miraculous answer. I mean, this is a miraculous problem that just happened. And there's so much of that. And I know Project Blue Beam and all that stuff, they're going to do their best to try to control the population with this covert technology crap.
Yeah, so they can't distract with the technology, they'll control with it if it comes to that, that kind of thing. But at the moment, the vast majority of people are being ushered very, very slowly and carefully into a slaughterhouse, and they're like, there's nothing wrong. Oh, there's something to eat. And then, You're in a cattle car, ladies and gentlemen, on the road to the slaughterhouse, okay? But the difference between the cows and you is you've got intellect, okay? I mean, a cow can't write, a work of fiction or something like that using their intellect. I mean, they can't hold a pencil, but that's beside the point. They just don't possess the faculty, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And that's the problem when it comes to being human, essentially, is we have a lot of abilities that we're being told that we don't have. You can't question the government. You can't resist these people with predator drones. You can't do this, that, and the other. Have they won the war in Afghanistan yet? Or are they still sending troops over there all the time to protect all of their stuff with all their advanced technology against dudes who live in caves who have AK-47s? Okay? That's all that it takes to beat the US military. Living in a cave and having an AK. Okay? I mean, that's how they beat them in Vietnam. That's how, I mean, seriously.
Well, it's really a shame, though, because these wars were not meant to be won, okay? Okay, 9/11 happened because, well, we had this really horrific, tragic event happen, and we're going to blame it on this sect of brown people over here, and we're going to get all the patriotic people in the country to want to go over there and kick their butts. Now, everything's by design here. Okay, all these patriotic people who go over there, they're being sent over to die, to get wounded, to do their duty, come back and get treated like crap. This is by design, as all the patriotic, God-fearing, American-loving citizens are disposed of. Now, when you've got everyone who would fight the establishment and all the evil and corruption that's going on is off in another land dying, we can install our Nazi Gestapo, our police state, and just trample on the rights of all the American citizens and install our totalitarian New World Order government. All our heroes are dead, or crippled, or begging for some sort of assistance. And so that's what I really just don't like, this genocide going on in the Middle East. But for these people, it's two birds, one stone.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Well, it's multiple things. Like, if you wanted to go and commit a crime, for instance, but you didn't want to get caught, you need to make sure that, A1, and this is the easiest option, you own everybody who could possibly bring you to justice. You know? You own the media who could expose you. You own the courts who could sentence you. You own the police who would arrest you. You own the lawyers who would prosecute you. You own the International Criminal Court who would execute you. You know, this kind of thing. If you own all that, it doesn't matter what you do, does it? You know, you're fine. But if you want to get away perpetually with crimes that are committed publicly, while you have that control, it gets a little bit more complicated. And that is where misdirection comes in. All right? It was a beauty pageant for cartographers, but you get it misdirection because cartographers do the maps with the directions of the thing. Anyway, the whole idea behind it is that you have multiple objectives with anything, okay? So if you are capable of controlling the media and the court systems, that kind of thing, the long arm of the law won't come to you, but you've got to make sure that the whole public doesn't ever come to a conclusion that you don't like. The way you do that is by sowing confusion. Did they do it for this reason? Did they do it for that reason? Did you do it for this reason? Did you do it for that reason? I disagree with the reason that you think that they did it. Oh, you're a shill! I'm a dicker! All right, so the goal there is to be so freaking confusing that the ability to get to the truth is virtually impossible. But if you do get to the truth, you'll get attacked by everybody else who only saw one grain of the truth as being the overall liar, as opposed to, hey, we're all right, and they're the ones who are doing bad stuff, and it matters not exactly how they're doing it. The point is they're doing it, and people need to be aware of that. Once a herd becomes aware of an approaching predator in the grass, approximately 6% is that tipping point. 6% of a herd of zebras see a lion approaching through the grass. Instantaneously, the entire herd is aware and starts running away, starts coming together to defend themselves and to be circled and protected. That kind of thing. 6% of the United States population during the Revolutionary War were boots on the ground. These are people who actually fought. These are people who walked through freezing mud in the middle of winter to attack the enemy at Christmas because they wouldn't see it coming. These are people who struggled through months of wounding and poor food and bad conditions and disease and the elements because they knew that if they didn't do it, everything that they had ever lived for and everybody who would ever live would forever be under the control of the crown, who enslaved them with debts ever accumulating. Once you recognize that 6% of people recognized the predator in the grass, they came together and they mobilized to defeat it. These people who fight on the front lines, they're not the only people who fight in a war of this magnitude. There are people on the back lines, their husbands, wives, daughters, sons. These people are those support network. The people on the air, you know, people like me and V, just sitting here, just telling ladies and gentlemen about these things that are truly happening if they have not heard it before. And even if they had heard it before, you need at least 7 repetitions of something, an idea, before it'll start to sink into the soft tissues of your brain. Okay, so sometimes it's not a very bad idea to sit there and listen to the same thing over and over again if it is a good message, because then it will cease to become a message and you shall become the messenger, ladies and gentlemen. That is the entire purpose of going on radio, to wake people up, because you can't wake people up on radio, ladies and gentlemen. You can't wake them up on YouTube. Only they can wake themselves up. Only they can turn on the light so that other people who are under their covers and refuse to look at the light of truth and knowledge, only they can rip those covers back once we are together as one.
Yeah, only they can put down their devices, put down their Facebooks. Only they can, give up their fast food, their air conditioning. Only they can do all this stuff and have some real freedom. Okay. Now I know people don't want to fight. They don't want to fight against the establishment. They don't want to lose on what they have. This whole excuse of, I have a family. Well, that's why you should be fighting, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly why you should be. Because you think that you're weak and defenseless because you have a family. What is it that you think that your children are going to experience? What kind of helplessness are they going to experience? What kind of helplessness do you think your grandchildren are going to experience because they have all this materialistic crap that's holding us all down? And these, hold on to these family values when family court system is stealing and trafficking our children left and right. Don't you wish there's someone there to speak out for you, speak up for you, but you can't speak out and speak up for yourselves, and that's getting really tiring and old. And I just don't understand what people don't think they're not going to get out of speaking up and speaking out. I mean, what you've got is, okay, you got a family, you got property, you got a house. 1% of the population, it's really 1% of the 1% who owns half the world's resources. If you take what you're entitled to, well, guess what? What you have is going to grow. I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, you're going to have more property, more land. I mean, more resources for yourself. It's not about who has the newest iPad or whatever crap like that. It's what do you have for your future? What's being taken away from you because you want to live in a box all your life. That's not me. I want to be free range. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I usually don't rant. But Vinny, you incite that about me. But
sorry,
I want to know. You bring that out in me, but I want to know, since we're talking about media here and not necessarily mainstream media, but what do you think about our brethren here, Alex Jones? I mean, I hate for people to ask me this question, and because I don't ever have an answer. I mean, I think he got railroaded and that sort of thing, and I hate being asked this question. So I'm gonna put it all up on you.
What question?
Well, Alex Jones. I mean, what?
Who is he? Who is he working for? What kind of man really is he?
What's this? I'm tired of people telling me he has family. He's the end of the CIA and all this. I mean, come on.
Did they have evidence? All right, because here's the thing. When you believe something somebody says because they've got a reputation of telling the truth, that's not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. That's not good enough. Okay, like with a little chicken neck, that you go, not good enough. And the thing I've actually really tried to get across to people over the years is that you've got to stop putting people on a pedestal, because what's going to happen when whatever human that you place unlimited trust within, what is going to happen when that human falls from that pedestal and that great height? You're going to feel crushed, as I did when, after listening to Alex Jones shows like sometimes twice in a day, watching all his documentaries and having InfoWars stickers on my car and all of that kind of stuff, to learn. Not to hear rumors, but to learn from the people who actually worked with him. His former producer, his former sit-in talk radio show hosts, some of his former guests, and the stories that they tell are quite specific. Alex Jones has a personality disorder, all right? It's called megalomania. What that means is that he believes he's the most important person in the room and that his dominance over others is of paramount importance to his entire psychological makeup. There is only one person that has been noted that can get Alex Jones to shut up on air. That person is a former member of the Mongol gang, a former Navy SEAL, a former pro wrestler, and the former governor of Minnesota. It required that level of man to tell Alex to shut the fuck up. Okay? So you can imagine, that's Jesse Ventura, ladies and gentlemen. So you can imagine the level of ego Alex has, how out of the infinite amount of people that he's had on his show, an infinite amount of people that he's talking to, is there's only one person that can get him to shut up, and that's their pedigree. That kind of thing. You can tell immediately that he didn't shut up because of respect. He shut up out of fear. All right? Which means that he doesn't have any respect for other people. His former producer, Danny Romero, just landed a new radio gig. Started up at FU Radio, Freedom Underground Radio, right? And at the time, he had gotten together a whole bunch of very good advertisers. He just sold them all, was just about to launch the network, and he's good friends with Alex, his former producer. And says to him, "Hey, Alex, man, I'm just starting up my new radio network. I got all my sponsors and everything, and it was really, really great." And then Alex asks him, "So, who are your sponsors?" "Oh, yeah, those are great sponsors, man. How much did you charge for your advertising?" "Oh, yeah, that's very interesting." The next day, every single sponsor cancelled their contracts with FU Radio, and every single one of them then started playing their ads on the Alex Jones Show. Now, Danny then went to confront Alex and says, "You stole my advertisers." Alex goes, Yeah, I did." Okay? That's how much support he has for the truth movement, ladies and gentlemen. He's willing to steal your money, your source of income, so that he can benefit. You think this man tells you the truth all the time? You think this man isn't hiding extraordinary amounts of damage to the truth movement? Who could stand against him? Who would want the trouble of going up against Alex Jones, of all people, and all the infinite followers that he has? And a lot of them aren't mentally well, ladies and gentlemen. There is 20% of the general population of the world pretty much suffer from some form of mental illness. And for some reason, it's called talent. Alex Jones is extraordinarily good at holding the attention of all people, including the crazy people. But once you know how he got all of that stuff, once you know what he does to other people in the truth movement, you can't listen to it anymore. You can't. You have a moral obligation to turn it off. Now, this is a second story here. Same guy, Danny Romero. He just bought a new transmitter that was able to get 50,000 homes in South Austin. Beautiful site, right? And his programmer, who was working with him to get the new radio network and all of that kind of stuff up and established and running, was staying in one of Alex Jones's houses. Danny was going, maybe that's a bit of a conflict of interest there, man, because he's got a competing radio network and that kind of thing. And he says, no, she'll be right. And then his programmer stopped contacting him, or contacted him less and less and less, until eventually he couldn't be contacted at all. And then the transmitter was turned off. What the hell's going on? So he goes up there to his transmitter, and the lock had been changed. Now, then he went, well, what's it playing then? So he goes down, turns on his car radio, and it was playing the Alex Jones Show. Stole his advertisers, stole his radio transmitter. These are crimes that you can go to jail for many, many years and face hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines and things of that nature. But Danny didn't do it. He didn't take him to court because he didn't have the money anymore to pay for a lawyer, because Alex Jones stole it, for one. And number two, who wanted to go down in history as the person who took down Alex Jones? Well, that's one person. Other person is Jack Blood, who was Alex Jones' sit-in radio show host. And Jack remembers two incidents. One where he was in the studio, had a great guest call in, had a wonderful first segment, really on fire, and then gets a call. It's Alex Jones's wife on the line, yelling, screaming down the phone, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you! Alex interviews all the good guests!" He's like, what the hell? Oh, I'm just doing my job. I'm the sit-in radio show host, and I'm conducting a good interview. That kind of thing. Instantly like, there's something wrong here. Not long after that, he was having dinner with one of his truther friends at his house, and then he was also a talk radio show host, and his friend's phone rings, and answers it, and it's Alex Jones. And he was telling this guy that Jack Blood, who's sitting across from him while he's telling him this on the phone, right? Jack Blood's looking to take you out, man. He's working behind the scenes. He's totally corrupt. He's looking at gunning for you, you know, that kind of thing. And then he goes, oh, okay, Alex. Okay, yeah. All right, cheers, bro. And then he hangs up the phone. And then Jack's cell phone on the other end of the table rings. It's Alex Jones. And he starts saying that the person across the table from him is trying to work against him behind the scenes. Is trying to mess with him. Is trying to take his place and try... Whoa, that's when Jack realized Alex Jones knows the methods of the New World Order, the divide and conquer strategy. And he deploys that strategy against other people in the truth movement so that he can conquer it. He can be the one. The third incident was a pro-gun rally outside the Federal Reserve or something like that, right? I forget the exact location and time. But these guys had organised a rally. They'd set up the stage. They had all the speaker equipment and everything officially in front of the Federal Reserve Bank in Texas. If I remember correctly, somebody can correct me on the details if I'm wrong on that. But what Alex did was he didn't accept the invite, and he turned up anyway with his own bullhorn and his own people and stood on the other side of the building, around the side, and then started bullhorning the building going, "We will resist your tyranny!" You know, they're doing the whole Alex Jones thing. And then the speakers were being drowned out by him doing this to them, right? And so they went over to him and he's like, "Alex, why don't you just come up on stage, man? We've got the microphone, we've got everything set up there." And he starts yelling at them and screaming, "Oh, lady, you got a hard on for me!" You know, this kind of, what the hell is going on here? And Jeff Rentz, when Alex Jones became part of the Genesis Communication radio network, which was making a lot of its money from selling gold that they told people that they bought at extremely low prices and sold it for extremely low prices. It turns out they had a 40% markup on all of the gold that they were selling, as opposed to 6%, which is the legal rate of profit, okay? As in they were breaking the law and deliberately lying to all of their listeners so they could sell them gold, okay? And make a killing doing it. Alex Jones comes on the network and he sells more of that fake gold than anybody'd ever seen. Jeff Rentz starts saying, "This is immoral, this is wrong, this guy's saying a whole bunch of things that are just absolutely not true, and he's fleecing the frickin' the listeners of this network. It's not right." Then Alex Jones complains to the owner of the network, who then looks at the figures of how much gold Jeff Rentz is selling versus how much gold Alex Jones is selling, and they say, "Sorry, Jeff, we can't afford to have you on this network anymore." Lost his radio show, been in the network for fucking decades, and gone because he questioned Alex Jones on air. Gone. Not the only one. Not the only talk radio show host who has met their end at the hands of the Jonestown. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the concept I want to get across here, and there's a reason I went into such in depth with all of those examples, and these are people that I've actually personally spoken to, is that you cannot, again, put anybody up on a pedestal, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot. Not me, not V, not Alex, nobody. We are all corruptible. We can all keep secrets. We are all capable of doing wrong. To support somebody blindly without looking into the truth of the matter, who they really are, what they really do, how they got what they have. Unless you are willing to do that, you probably shouldn't be listening to that person to a large degree, you know? And that may sound like really harsh. "Oh, you mean I can't listen to anybody unless I do a load of research into them?" Well, that's not what I'm saying. So you can listen to anybody you want, But if you want to devote yourselves to someone and start preaching their message that you didn't come up with, make sure that they're telling the truth. Make sure that they are honorable. Okay? Otherwise, you spread lies and you become dishonorable. And when an honest man is confronted with the truth that he is wrong, he will either cease to be wrong or cease to be honest.
Wise words, wise words.
Mark
And,
Twain.
I'll always have you up on a pedestal, Vinny. But this is very moving information here. I try my best to stick up for Alex Jones, but every person that I ask something about him has a horror story about him. And you just came out with Rio. And I love Jeff Prince. Great guy, great radio program. And it's just amazing to me. So, well, let's try to dissect his thought process there. If we can put ourselves in his shoes. Let's say
okay, if your father,
like I have best. Let's say I have the best ideas. Let's say I feel like I'm the only person in the world that can do this job. Let's say I'm the only person that's willing to take it all the way. Shouldn't he just sort of try his best to muscle his way to the top? I mean, some of his tactics there, saying that they're true, are very dirty. I'll agree with you there. But shouldn't he try his best? I mean, I know.
Well, the thing is, what I've told you is just what he's done, all right? And
yes,
we could do hours of broadcasts with each and every one of his victims that I've just personally spoken to. That kind of thing. That's how voluminous these violations are at the hands of Alex Jones. But that belies the point. Okay, so those are the facts. The facts that are immutable, you cannot argue with them. That's what happened. We've got 3 sources at least who didn't know each other, who have nothing to gain by saying these things, all corroborating the same story. They've produced screenshots, they've produced documents, they've produced recordings, and things of that nature. Now, here's the thing. Can you argue with facts? No, you can't. You can, what they say is that everybody can have their own opinion, or rather, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Okay, so the fact of the matter is that Alex Jones is a liar, is a thief, and is untrustworthy. Okay, so take those things as immutable truth. I am going to defend this lying, thieving, untrustworthy person because, and then finish the sentence and try to appear like you still have morals and a conscience. You cannot, because these are things which cannot be forgiven if forgiveness has not been asked for. Alex Jones has not said sorry for these things he has done. He has not asked forgiveness. Sorry.
He's not admitted to any of these atrocities. He's not. Wow.
But the point,
okay.
But the ultimate point, other than arguing with facts, is that what's the actual point? Okay, where's the actual agenda here? Like, that's the present. Okay, that's the facts that we know. But what's his past? What's his bloodline connections and all of that kind of thing? And what's his future? What's his purpose? Why is he there? Okay, so his past is, according to his own admission, his father is a very high-level Freemason in Texas, all right? Now, in Austin, I believe the Dallas Scottish Rite is the most powerful Freemasonic temple in America, more or less, right? So Freemasonry, very, very strong in Texas. Now, this is one thing, and it's like, well, that's very interesting. Now, the next thing onto that is, where's he headed? Okay, now, a lot of people say that, he doesn't say bad stuff about Israel or that kind of thing. And in general, no, that's not true. He has said things about Israel in the past, but not anymore he doesn't. He has said things about false flag terror in the past, but not anymore he doesn't. He has told people about the false left-right paradigm in the past, but not anymore he doesn't. He has told people that about the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and all of these kind of things existed and controlled the real presidency, but not anymore he doesn't, because he supports Trump. Now, when he came out publicly and said, I support Donald Trump, he's against the New World Order, and really just threw everything behind him, that's what's known in the business as losing all your journalistic credibility. Okay? If you throw your lot in with any politician based on promises rather than facts you can back up, you lose your credibility in an instant. Integrity, journalistic integrity, the meaning of integrity itself, is to have honesty and operate under the guidance of a moral conscience at all times. At all times. You can lose your integrity immediately. Taking you a lifetime to gain, immediately gone. That was the moment for me. I already didn't have any faith in him and didn't listen to him. But when I just tuned in just to see what he was saying, and he said that, haven't listened again. Unfortunately, that was all the proof that I unfortunately needed. What's difficult about accepting that is, again, what's it heading towards? What's the agenda? Okay, so the political situation at the time of the US in terms of this election of Trump is you've got a mass consciousness awakening that was very much feared by the elite. We know this touted in the alternative media and things of that nature. Even the elite realized this as Hillary Clinton came out and said there is an information war going on and we are losing that war. What was the one thing that had never been tried before in order to keep the United States population in line during an election? Run an anti-establishment candidate. Oh my God! Then everybody who knows the government's lying, knows the media is full of crap, and knows all of even any amount of corruption within the country will immediately support that person. Immediately, without even thinking about it. Because they're being told what they want to hear. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is how the political game is played. Hey, a whole bunch of people are really angry with us, upset with the elite controlling absolutely everything and giving people no choices about it or whatsoever. What do we do? What do we do? Well, why don't we just lie to them, bro? Like, what?
You nailed that one right on the head. Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you think Alex Jones' family issues took part in a little bit of his downfall?
I can only speculate, but I have narcissism, right? I'm a narcissist. So how I developed that was I was neglected by my mother and abused by my father. That's how you create a narcissist, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to create a psychopath, you sexually abuse them too. Okay? And if you want to create a sociopath, instead of sexual abuse, emotional abuse. Okay? So if your parents, and this is the crux of the issue, if your parents who are there to protect you, for you to have absolute trust and faith in, if they do not fulfill their responsibility of protecting you and giving you love and attention, you will develop a personality disorder. Like me, you know. Now, can I feel emotion? Absolutely. Do I understand people and figure them out and be a good friend and that kind of thing? Absolutely. But I feel very differently about everything. Okay? So I can turn my emotions up to 11 and just cry at something just totally benign or whatever on YouTube or something like that. Really. Just let it all out. And then I can turn it way down and just go, I don't care about you anymore. Nothing. Right? Now, unfortunately, the control over that level of empathy that I can sometimes do is completely belied by the fact that I've got no control over my limbic system, which means if somebody's mean to me or challenges me or starts yelling at me or something like that, I immediately go into panic attack territory. All right? Now, that's not the narcissism, that's the complex post-traumatic stress disorder. How the narcissism blends in with that is they've got virtually the same symptoms, a lot of the things, but the main difference between them is that I used to be very violent and immediately, that kind of thing, but after the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I became incredibly weak, unable to control my emotions and things like that, and to feel fear and retreat inwards as opposed to aggression and lash out. That's what happened. That's what changed me from the monster I was becoming into whatever I am now. Because I understood really then at that point of being severely traumatized by the New Zealand police. For 13 grams of cannabis, I was going to go to jail for up to 8 years. You live with that reality in your mind going over and over and over and over and over again for a whole month. Boom! Perfect recipe for complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is caused by having no control over your life itself for 1 month and 6 months. One of those, depending on how weak a person you are, how strong a person you are. I'm a very, very weak person, and I show my vulnerability all the time for a great reason, so that people will not trust me without question, that they will know that I am flawed, that they will know that I can get things wrong, that I'm a damaged person fumbling around in the dark. And I think that a lot of us have to recognize those weaknesses within ourselves and reveal them to others, because it's only by accepting our weaknesses that we can overcome them, kind of thing. Now, if Alex Jones has a personality disorder or something of that nature, and he didn't have a lot of people come into his life to share with him extraordinary knowledge, mentorship, and love to the right degree, but also didn't crack him in the face or have a fight with him or something like that and tell him to show some fucking respect, then his personality disorder wouldn't have had correction like mine did. It wouldn't have the comprehension, because you can't teach us narcissists a lesson by telling us that we did something wrong. Okay? We won't feel wrong. We will understand that there's a social consequence to being wrong and doing something wrong, so we identify what they are and we stop doing them if we want to remain not getting hurt. That's what my whole honesty thing is about. Because when the cops busted into my house and things like that, I said, welcome, here's my weed, here's my scales, here's my, and just gave them everything they wanted. 100% honesty. Oh, okay, are you a dealer? Yes, I've been dealing for 6 months and I've been selling approximately 1 ounce a week for the value of about $400 that I was buying them for each ounce. And I was selling them for about $20 a gram. And the most naive and ridiculous thing. Okay, but instead of getting 8 years in jail for a first offence, I got 300 hours of community service. Be bold, ladies and gentlemen, and mighty forces will come to your aid. That's what Jack Blood always says when he opens up his show. It's great advice. He also gave me 2 other pieces of advice. I asked him, Jack, how did you be a talk radio show host for 15 to 25 years without turning into a dick? And he goes, well, it's simple. Number 1, drink. Because if I didn't drink, I would have gone nuts long ago. And number 2, take the money. All right, now seriously, if somebody's not trying to tell you to change what you're doing, or they're trying to get you to do something you don't want to do, and they're offering you cash or anything like that, they're not. Just take the money. They're generous. They want to help you. That's the universe speaking to you, bro. If you do the right thing, right things will come back around. That's the whole idea of karma. But people are, they're impatient. They think that their karma's going to get repaid instantly. Like, hey, I'm going to miss this person over here, and then I'm going to walk into a lamppost. That's happened to me once or twice. But on the whole... But on the whole, it's like a batting a tennis ball around the frickin' earth. You pass it from one person to another, average person, if you smile at them, they'll on average carry that smile out to 7 other people. So smiling at one person randomly can actually change the fabric of the earth a little bit, right? So every bad thing that you do has a corresponding effect. Have you ever had somebody treat you really horribly and then you go out and you did something not so nice? I've done it before, and I think that we all have, right? And I think that if you don't take responsibility, or if you are not held to account for the wrong things that you do. I have 2 teeth injuries that you can't tell that I've got because they're incredibly minor, because when you're 6'6" and somebody's trying to throw a punch at you, it doesn't really work. The point is that during those 2 punches in the face, I learned something. I learned to not do something because of X consequence. All right? That's the thing. You've got to teach us a lesson on occasion and be prepared to punch us in the face, because otherwise we don't get it. And why do you think there's so many narcissistic talk radio show hosts and politicians who are behaving as badly as they do? Because they don't get it. They don't get being punched in the face. They don't get having people ostracize them and have no friends and have to sit by yourself at night and go, what am I doing wrong? Like, not what is wrong with everybody else, but what am I doing wrong? Right? That introspective moment can really only come to a narcissist through the abject pain and suffering that caused the disorder in the first place, ironically.
Well, I hope that the people have absorbed everything that we've talked about here today. We have been freestyling for the past over 2 hours. I think we gotta cut this episode short here. And Vinny, you are the man. You are always a delight. You're always my favorite birthday present, and I'm happy to have you on the show. Thank you. And where can my audience reach you?
They can reach me at thevinnieeastwoodshow.com and AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Of course, right here as well on this YouTube channel that people are watching at the moment. I want to actually give a shout out to the people in the chat room, Alien Zoo and Darcy and Polly B and everybody else that happens to be in there and has been tuning in and watching the show today. We had to do a lot of work to get this thing to work for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we had a couple of glitches in the middle of it. But I'm so damn good we recovered. Now, the way that you can support me, ladies and gentlemen, is if you go to thevinnieeastwoodshow.com, there's a number of ways. So if you want to donate through PayPal if you're overseas, if you want to donate through Patreon, if you want to support me regularly every month, and if you are in New Zealand, the thing that I value most of all is those weekly $5 payments, so that people have those automatic payments going straight into the Kiwi Bank. PayPal doesn't get a slice, Patreon doesn't get a slice, and that way you're supporting your own local representative in the war against scumbaggery. All right, so basically, ladies and gentlemen, I have no compunction about doing the right thing. I don't do it because there's money in it for me, and if I was doing it for the money, I must be the most retarded in the world. I mean, like last year I made $30,000. Okay, that's just enough to live off in the New Zealand economy. The last month of my job career, where I was selling for Vodafone, I think it was, it was $11,900 worth of shopping vouchers plus $5,000 cash, okay, after tax. All right, that was my last month's work, ladies and gentlemen, and I did that over a decade ago. With that money, did I relax and buy drugs with it? You betcha. But I also bought myself a camera and a Mac, and then I started making videos about fluoride and weed and all sorts of things, and then an American producer, the wonderful and fabulous Mitch Santel over at BigReggaeMix.com, gave me an opportunity to guest host on a show. They brought me on as co-host, and then they fired the host and gave me the show. All right, bro. So that's how it works. If you do the right thing, instead of taking the money, you can actually make a difference in this world, and you can save human life. The most valuable commodity that there is in this world is human life. You know why? Human life is the only commodity that keeps appreciating in value and is completely unpredictable in the things that it can produce and make. That is the value of being a person, ladies and gentlemen. You can make and do things that nobody can even imagine. That stupid old phrase, oh, you can do anything if you set your mind for it. Really, jump 10 feet in the air unassisted. Oh, well, I can't. That's right, because that's a stupid thing to tell people. You can't do anything, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. Okay. The thing is, you can do something. That's all you gotta do, is don't do nothing. Whatever your talent is, if you're a narcissistic, ranting person who got neglected by their parents, but their parents were like poets and public speakers and business people and things like that, maybe you could try your hand at being a douchebag talk radio show host like moi, with my frickin' unique makeup. But if you're, on the other hand, incredibly introverted and you spend a lot of time in your head, you're capable of analysing other people's actions so much better than they will be. Because you sit in your head and you observe a lot of things, don't you, ladies and gentlemen? Introverts make some of the best researchers in the world. And extroverts need them to rein them in once in a while. V, you being a dick? No, that's not factually based. Shut up. No. See? The introverts, they can be somewhat annoying sometimes, but they are nonetheless invaluable. All right, and meaning they don't have any value. But I'm just joking.
Speaking of reining you in, all right, we got to end this broadcast because. Oh, and something you guys can also do is check me out on my TV network, TLBTV.com, the Redfield Hardcore TV show. I also have a couple of other shows coming out. Another TV show called Targeted. Another show called Infotainment Tonight. And Family Case Files. Don't forget that. I have a star lawyer who's going to be my co-host. And we're going to try to keep the families together. Keep the parasitic system, the child trafficking system, from breaking these families apart and making money, kids for cash and all that garbage. So please look for all that on TLBTV.com, the Liberty Beacon Television Network.
Yeah. I'm
your host, V, and I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny.
That's right. And it's not to be confused with LGBT.com. That means something totally freaking
Happy birthday and all. Something's breaking and cutting loose. Strange desires afflicting my eyes, so feel like I have my senses overwhelmed. Hold me tight, shield my eyes from the light as I step into the dark abyss. Nothing to hold me, come and give me one last kiss. It will console me. Comes breaking in with a shove, encapsulates you with love. When it's your birthday, you're my brother, yeah. Hey, said happy birthday, I hope it was the best day of your life for another year. I hope you will remember days when you were young and free, and nothing stood in your way.